All right, let's do part 2 where we're going to add some details to this model. So let's first start by doing the windows. Okay, so we're going to take the central part here, and I'm going to show you how to make some windows. So in the CN Tower, let's actually look at the reference for a second. There are these windows and these windows, which are the same size, and we're going to just say that there's 32 of them because we made our cylinder with 32 windows. So there's a bunch of small windows here, right underneath it, the same size windows, but they're shorter. And then underneath, there's larger ports, larger window type things here. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, let me close this, go into edit mode, and that's why we chose a cylinder with 32 vertices, so that we have 32 little polygons that we can make windows out of. So first thing we're going to do, it's pretty easy. We're going to Alt-click, we have to be on face mode. Alt-click that, Shift Alt-click the bottom thing. These are the two areas where there are windows. So once these two things have been selected, we're going to go and press, it depends. Let's try I. If we press I, it actually insets the whole thing at the same time. That's not what we want, Control Z. If we go I, then we can actually pull them out individually, which is exactly what we want. I'm pressing Shift as I do this to control my, what's going on here. And I think I'm just going to press SZ to make them a little taller. Actually, I'm going to undo that. Let's actually do this. What I will do is, I'm going to undo this. I notice that these windows are too narrow. So I'm actually going to alter this. What I did before was that I selected this thing, Control plus, and made it a little bit bigger. I'm actually going to make it even higher. GZ, move that up a little bit, and SZ, and just make it a little bit thinner because the windows were too small. Okay, that's a good thing to do. All right, we'll go back here. Alt-click this, Shift Alt-click this, so you have both these areas selected. We'll do I. And of course, now it goes back to the selecting everything. So it's either going to be I or I. You have to just kind of experiment. If I do I now, and I go I, and there it works again. So make the windows, like a little bit smaller than the actual polygons. Okay, so now we have to recess them. Alt-E, extrude faces along normals, and just pull them back in a little bit. And once again, if you messed up and you want them to go more in or out, normal GZ. And that way you can kind of control them. So let's say something like that. All right, now before anything, GZ, a bit more back. Okay, before anything, since these are going to be the windows, we're going to actually make them out of a different material, like a glass material. So let's actually take advantage of the fact these are already selected and go to the bottom here, the materials properties tab. Put a new material and call this glass. And now that these are selected, press assign. That means all these are going to be assigned to the glass material. Now let's actually do this. Control I selects everything else. Let's make another material and call this base. And let's assign this to the base material. Now it doesn't look like anything because I have not in material preview, but if I go to material preview, and now, for example, I just turn this dark, you notice that the windows have been differentiated, and so now the windows are black, and they'll be glass later on. Okay, good. Go back to solid mode. We also need to make the windows here. This is marginally more complicated, but not by much. Because we have to break them up into 4s, actually, I figured out that the windows, the size of these big ones is about 4. We're actually going to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to skip 4. Then shift, another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the last ones. And you should have 4 now. Yeah, if you did it right, you'd have 4 between them. If you didn't, just make sure you do it right. Okay, now that I have that, I will do this pretty much exactly the same thing I did before. Alt-E, extrude faces along normals, bring them back a little bit. And I see that the base part is too big, but I'll fix that after. Let's say, it wasn't enough. I want to recess it more. I'm on normal, GZ, pull it back a little bit like that. Now, in my case, this is sticking through, but I'm going to fix that after. All right. And since these are going to be glass, I'm going to go to my glass material and I'm going to assign those too. And I'm going to do my now finally I have to do the other windows. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just basically select everything that I didn't select before. Okay, and then just the same thing. Alt-E, extrude faces along normals, pull them in a little bit till they're about even with the other ones, and then assign them to the glass. All right, now let's take care of this annoying thing. So now that these are poking through, we have a bit of a problem because these are too high up. So I'm going to go click these. I'm going to go into edit mode. Make sure I'm on global. Let me try to see what's going on here. I believe that if I bring these faces down, it should work. So let me go to X-ray mode. Select the top faces and just go G, Z and bring them down. Let's see if that solved the problem. Almost. G, Z. That did solve the problem. Great. Now I have my nice CN Tower. Look at that. All right, so those are my windows. And let's just make sure that I did everything properly. Yes, I've selected them. Great. A couple more things. In the CN Tower, there's these kind of red stripes every once in a while. So there's one over there. So I'll select that. I need to add an edge loop. Go to edge mode. Control R. Pull this down to about there. Face mode. Alt click that. Select the whole edge loop. And then Alt-E, extrude along normals, and shrink it in a little bit. All right, so now we're going to add the material. Okay, so this area here is kind of reddish, as you can see. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we already have our glass in our base. We're going to add a new material by pressing plus. Press new, change this to a red, and now that this is selected, we can assign this, and now it's red. Hey, look at that. All right. A couple more areas on this CN Tower are also red, so we got to do them. Let's turn on the reference for a second. So this stripe, and the tippy top. All right, let's, we're still in our edit mode, so I'm going to, and we're still there. Problem is we're on the wrong part. So let me just go into the that part, which is called cylinder. I'm actually going to change this to top. So at least it means this is the top part. Okay, go into edit mode. So it's really simple. It's these face loops which we already made. Alt click this, Shift Alt click that. And we'll do the top in a second. We are going to assign a new material. We're going to select the red material from before. And we're just going to assign it there. Now we're going to invert the selection. Bloop. Put another new material. Put the base from before, assign that. And the last thing to do is this tippy top thing. Select that. And since we need it to go a little bit bigger, we also select... Actually, I'll show you something. I'm going to show you the idea of making selections larger and smaller. So let's say we need this, and the top. I can click, let's say I click this, and I want to expand the selection. I do Control, number pad plus, and I do it again because I want the tippy top. But now I have too much. Well, since it's already at the top, it's not going to go down here. It's just going to go up. It's going to basically select less if I go Control minus. So I just could select Control minus until I get to that part and go my base, assign that. So by pressing Control plus and Control minus, you're expanding or contracting the selection. All right, it really does look like a lipstick. Let's go to that and let's see what it looks like without the reference. We have our red, we have our windows on the bottom, and let's do the windows on the second observatory since we're here anyway. All right, this is going to be pretty much exactly the same thing we just did. We're going to select, let's turn on the reference so we can see what we're doing. That's right, it's these things and these things. Those are the two areas where there'll be windows. And I'm going to do pretty much exactly what I did before. And see if that works. Nope, doesn't. I. There we go. We'll make our windows. They're pretty small at the bottom, but I'll live with that. We will do Alt-E, extrude faces along normals, as always. Press Shift to kind of make it more controllable. See what it looks like. let's say I want to move them around still. I go back to normal, GZ, maybe move them in. All right, that's fine. And put another material and put that glass material from before. And assign those windows to the glass. It's a beautiful thing. One thing I might do is add another ridge like this on top of those windows. So I will add an edge loop there. Go down a little bit. Maybe like that. Bevel it. Control B. And that'll be my sort of like area. And then Alt E, extrude faces along normal, and hold Shift so I can kind of get it lined up approximately the same. Great. Now I have a little roof for my windows, a little sunroof. All right. That is almost finished with the basic modeling. One thing left is to do these, the track here, those kind of rectangles. If I go back to my model, well, I don't have it here again, but it's a bunch of rectangles, all the way, and the last one, a bunch of rectangles that are essentially the tracks for this thing to go up and down, I believe. So first of all, it's on the base, so I'll click the base. I'll go to edit mode. I could have pressed tab, but I was just being lazy. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to select this face, which is directly in front of us. Then we're going to select this one. And then we're going to select the back one. These are all the ones that weren't extruded. See? The middle ones there. Okay, first thing we're going to do, we're going to extrude faces along normals. Alt and E. And I will, see I'm pulling it back. Again, I'm going to adjust I can adjust it a little bit. It's already on normal, GZ. I can maybe pull it back quite a bit like that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to scale it. It's a little bit too high because it's sort of piercing through there. I'm going to change this back to global. And now I'm going to press S and Z so that it's kind of more like that. And that way it's not coming through the top. Okay, cool. Great. That's the track. Hello, future CJ here. Notice that the background has changed all of a sudden. Yes, it's magic. It's also because it's the next day. So let's continue. Before we get to the more detailed texturing, first thing we're going to do is, if we look at this pod here, the observatory, you notice it's kind of boring. Every window and every straight edge is completely straight, completely 90 degrees. And in real life, nothing would ever look like that. It also makes it that you can't really see any shadows there. So it looks a little kind of one-dimensional. So to quickly remedy that, we're going to add a bevel modifier on just these two big sections, this and the top one. This is set at 1 segment. I'll put it at 2 segments, and what you see it does is it takes all those sharp edges and basically gives 2 additional edges to them, basically softening them, or I guess you could say making them go from 90 to slightly less than 90, and now we actually are catching some shadows on these sharp edges, and it looks a little bit better. So I'll just show you the difference without, with. Just a little bit more 2-dimensional, or a little bit more 3-dimensional, and a little bit nicer looking. And we're going to do the same thing here on this section, because again we have these windows which have kind of one-dimensional. We'll add a bevel modifier. We'll give 2 segments, and again it just softens it up and makes it look a little bit better and makes it catch light a little bit better. And I'm going to save it. Okay, so far that's what we have. And it looks pretty good. And the next section, we're going to go looking at the actual CN Tower, looking at pictures of the CN Tower again, and really looking more carefully at the different colors and textures of the CN Tower. And then we're going to do some more refinements over the color and the texture. All right, see you next video. Bye-bye.